All right, guys, well, welcome back to Budget Cars and Bikes, and a bit of a weird video in the respect that this may be the last one. This may be the last video on the 1250 GS, because there are some good things, there are some bad things, and I think the bad things possibly outweigh the good things, so I decided to possibly change it in for another bike. If you want to find out more, keep watching. What is up, you absolute stunners? Welcome to Budget Cars and Bikes, and to possibly, as I said in the intro, the last ride on this beautiful bike. Why, you may ask yourself, have I decided, or am I even thinking of getting rid of this bike after I've been singing its praises? Well, it's not because I'm not singing its praises anymore, and there are some good things and not so good things, and some pretty damn bloody ugly things that have prompted me into making a decision, along with the fact that I really want to try out a couple of other bikes before I give up and hang up my helmet, as it were, because I'm cracking on for 60 years old now, and I think maybe around about 60 years old I'm going to really calm down when it comes to biking, and basically I'll just have a relatively cheap bike, probably a GSX 1400, just sat in the back garden for sunny days and that kind of stuff that I don't have to worry too much about. I mean, this is an expensive bike. It's a 10 grand plus bike, and this is Budget Cars and Bikes at the end of the day. And it doesn't freak me out. It's just I always worry about bikes in my back garden in the winter for corrosion and stuff like that. And already corrosion has started to set in on this beautiful bike. I mean, it's just amazing how BMW still managed to suffer from corrosion issues. I'll stick a picture in the top left corner here of the front of the engine on both sides, and you can see just there what's happening there already. And this has done 28,000 miles, it's 5 years old, but that's just unacceptable in my mind. You know, no other bike I've ever owned does that in 5 years. Even the GSX 1400, which was 20 years older, didn't suffer that badly. It's just, I don't know, where the two metal plates kind of fixed together, as it were, there's always seemingly a problem. If you look at the picture again, just go back and have a look if you want, or I'll stick it in again. It's where the bolts kind of go, it's just there. It's only in the same place on both sides, but it freaks me out. And then we've got the corrosion issue on the wheels as well. I'll stick a little picture in now, and you can see what I mean about the corrosion on the wheels. So if I keep this bike, for my OCD, I'm going to have to get something done about the engine, and maybe even get the wheels repowder coated. And my fear is it'll just happen again anyway. So it's like, well, you can't just keep throwing money at a bike because it starts to corrode, can you? You might be better off buying a cheaper GS, I guess. But I mean, the bike itself is stunning. I am completely transformed, in my opinion, of the GS since owning a 1250. Now, what's it like compared to the Multistrada? Because obviously that's going to be a direct kind of comparison for me, because you know my love of the Multistrada, the 1200 and the 1260. We've had 3 of them on the channel now, and I absolutely adore them. So what's it like compared to that? To be quite honest, the 1200 GS is nowhere near as good as the 1200 Multistrada, not in a million years. I would buy the Multistrada DVT, you know, with the LCD or TFT dash over the GS of the same year in a heartbeat. Plus it's cheaper, of course. The 1260 compared to the 1250 GS is a different story, of course, because although you've got the TFT screen on the Multistrada, you've also got it here, and I really do like this screen, I have to say. It's very impressive, and all the functions that you can perform on the go, you know, all the safety aspects of this bike, it's just a stunning piece of machinery. And I'm hard pushed, if I'm honest, to choose between the Multistrada 1260s and the 1250 TE GS from BMW. The one thing that might sway me, and it's purely a subjective kind of thing, is simply when I look back at the GS after I get off it, if I go to a bike shop or a cafe or whatever, when I look back at the GS, it doesn't give me a fizz in the pants, as it were. It doesn't make me think, God, that's a good looking bike, that's a stunner. You know, nobody looks at it either. You know, when you're riding along, when you park it up, nobody looks at a GS and goes, wow, unless they're a GS owner. Yet the Multistrada, you look back at the Multistrada and it always made me go, yeah, what a beautiful, sexy bike that is. This doesn't do that. And I do think that you need part of that in your life when you're a biker. You need to be able to be really kind of look back at your bike and just drool. And when it comes to reliability, I don't personally think that the GS is any more or less reliable than the Multistrada 1260. They've both got issues, and they've both been kind of recorded comprehensively on all the forums and all the rest of it. You know, as I said, even this 1250 GS has got problems. I have found out since owning it, though, I took it to BMW, that it's actually had a recall for a brand new drive shaft. So BMW have been pretty good there. After I think it's 20-something thousand miles, they'll stick in a new drive shaft. So if you've got a 1250 GS, and it's done over 20,000 miles. Look into that, because it's something to do with the breathing of the shaft itself, if that makes sense. They have to drill a little hole into the shaft, like a breather pipe on a petrol tank, I guess, and they put a brand new shaft in for you, so I'm told. And that's probably explains why this shaft drive on here looks absolutely mint, because it was replaced in 2022, I think it was. But there's all sorts of tiny little recalls. I mean, when I was in there, he said to me, look, you know, you've got a recall for the pin on the rear pillion peg. I'm like, what, the split pin? He's like, yeah. what? Really? It's just silly little things. And then again, the Multistrada servicing costs on that are horrendous, but again, on the GS, they're not any better. It's 120 quid an hour plus VAT, I think, to get it serviced at BMW. So they're both expensive bikes. They're both quick bikes. I mean, that's the one thing about the GS that I really wasn't expecting. This thing is like a missile, especially compared to the 1200. Not quite so much as the Multistrada. I think the Multistrada's got 10 horsepower more, but the torque on this thing is equivalent to the Multistrada. You know, it's a really tough choice. But purely aesthetics, I would rather look back at a beautiful Multistrada than I would a GS 1200. As I said, nobody looks at you when you're on this. It's practical, it's functional, it'll do everything you want it to do, but the corrosion and the lack of, I don't know, soul, I think is probably the word for it, just tempts me back into a Multistrada. If I had a choice, if you put one next to the other, I think I'd probably still choose the Multistrada. I am a bit of a Ducati fanboy, as we know, but you know, it's not because I don't like the GS. I just think the Ducati is sexier, and if that's what you're looking for, then you know, you'll probably find the same reasoning. But if you don't care and you just want Vorsprung, Torque, technique, German reliability, which is questionable, then yeah, 1250 GS, there's nothing wrong with it. It's quick, it's beautiful in some respects. It's a beautiful position here. As I look down like now, I'm like, yeah, this is a nice place to be. But as I said, when I look back at it, it doesn't give me a fizz in the pants, not like the Ducati does. So what are we going to do next then? Well, I've actually had a chat with a couple of dealers, and they've offered me surprising money, shall we say, as a Part X to send it back. I mean, it cost me £9,999, but I didn't pay that because I did a deal on the CB 1100 and the GSX 1400. So financially, it owes me £8,500, which I think you'll agree is a bargain. And the highest offer I've had so far is £9,700, which, yeah, very surprising. So I may be looking into that. But obviously, if you are subscribed, you'll find out more. If you're not subscribed and you want to find out more, then just hit the subscribe button below the video. Give this video a like, a share, a thumbs up, all that good stuff. Don't forget to follow us on TikTok, Instagram and Facebook. We don't really use Facebook that much, to be honest. I think it's a bit dated now, Facebook, really, in that respect. But I do obviously do stuff on TikTok and Instagram. And as I said, if you want to find out exactly what happened to the GS and where I went from here, then subscribe and you will. But from Budget Cars and Bikes, that has been my kind of last swan song possibly on the GS and my thoughts on it compared to the Ducati, and you know, where we're going next. I hope you enjoyed it, guys. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like, share, and we'll catch up in a couple of weeks. Take care now. Ride safe.